Sensitivity is intelligence. With grace and skill, you have abundance. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. Host Kelly Brickle is a psychic medium healer, numerologist, and teacher. Her passions are learning about the soul and energy. Whether it's through spirit, emotion, or vibrational numbers, there's always a pathway of information waiting to help. Now, here is your host of the Psychic Hour, Kelly Brickle.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Psychic Hour on WLTK-DB. Let's Talk Radio. We are doing the reading show today, and sometimes we have a double reading show week, which is really cool for everybody who wants a chance, because I know people start flooding in towards the end. So we're going to be doing our reading show, and that is numerology readings. You popped on your birthday. I do card pulls. I tune into the energy of situations, like with my sight and my feeling. And if other things come up too, then awesome. And that's the way we go. And they're mini readings, but we always do the best we can with the time that we have. Hello, Lynn. Hello, Tina. Hello, Jessie Cat. Hello, Kevin. Hi, everybody. It's great to see you. And so the way it goes is we always have a topic we talk about, we open up the energy, and then we get into readings. And I just keep staring out the window, and I just see the cars just driving by, and it's just like making me think about how just life is just moving. It's just moving, and some people feel like life's going really fast. Some people feel like they're being dragged. Some people feel like life is just swirling around them. The positivity in that are things are moving. Things are definitely moving. And that's why the energy feels so heavy, because when things are moving, you either feel like ignited, right? Or you feel like, whoa, what is pulling at me? Like, what pressure is against me? And those and that are signs of healing that's surfacing within us, where this is hard, this is heavy, this doesn't feel natural, this doesn't feel flowing, this doesn't feel free. But things are nonetheless moving, and it is an invitation to start to grow. And I'll always talk about that within this work, like expansion, growth, evolution. It's actually quite positive to be feeling so much stuff. Like, you want to be feeling. I think that's the greatest takeaway in all of this. Like, you want to be feeling. Feeling numb is still feeling. Being aware of that you're feeling numb because you're feeling so much is still feeling. It really is. And as long as you are conscious of some type of feeling, even if it is conceptually like, whoa, this is too much, I'd like to actually dial this back a bit, you are already in a place of activation with the question of, what do I want to do next with this? Okay. Wow. I'm overwhelmed right now. Maybe I'm very sensitive. This is a lot. What do I want to do with this? And the opportunity is always in the capacity of, you get to do whatever you want and never like before, because the past is in the past. Everyone's waking up. If you want to feel like, the inclusiveness of the world, like, the world is moving forward. People are becoming more spiritual. People are becoming more open to their emotions, sensitivities, to feeling, to processing, to working through their emotions, to listening in a different way, to looking at signs, where it's not just one way of saying things. It's not just one way of seeing things, empathy. And that's really, really exciting. And we can look at ourselves in a completely different way too. Like, wow, like, there's actually utility for me to work with my emotions. There's actually functionality because I can do something, because there's more people that can go, oh yeah, I know what that means. Because, man, isn't it crazy when you're doing the work, or let's say you're in tune with yourself, and people are like, no, I can't take what you're putting down. What are you talking about? Huh? No, like, okay, I've never seen it that way before. That's interesting. That's unique. Huh? Right? And then the conversation just doesn't go anywhere. I'm sure everyone has been there, and you're just like, okay, all right. Well, at least I put it out there. All right. But the great thing is the opportunity for that actually is exponentially growing. And when we have platforms like this to create community and we have people sharing their hearts and their voices, people go, yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. And it amplifies and we get to change things. So that's what's amazing. So don't be afraid to feel everybody, even if it's like, this is a little too much right now and I'm aware of that. That's okay. There are many days where I go, wow, I feel like existentially I am putting my feet on the floor and it doesn't feel like I feel quite wobbly or like where is my mind? What do I want? Who am I? Like I actually know those questions, those questions and answers very strongly within me. I think about that often, but the energy is so high, like and so thick with the change in the world, and it's inviting us to change within ourselves that I will wake up some days and I'll be like, whoa, like, do I have this right? Um, is this working for me? Right. And it questions my own existence and it makes me feel so many different emotions. And I go, do I want to feel this today? And I'm very fluid in my feelings. We're always learning, we're always growing. But I go, I need a good day to process this. I need a good moment to just sit down and process this. And sometimes, that can't always have 100% attention because you're juggling other things, you're going forward, you have different responsibilities. That's okay. But I do try to make time for it. And I'm noticing a lot like, wow, yeah, okay. It's so much. It's so much. So I want to give you a pat on the back if you are feeling things very strongly, and have a reminder that that is an invitation. And it's just like, what do you dare to entertain? And does that, really sit with you like, hey, that's my next move. I wish I could, or do I dare to do this? And I think those are some of the questions that we should ask ourselves because the universe always does answer back, whether before we go to sleep or we just constantly are thinking about an idea or a person or an opportunity, right? Like the universe calls to us back. And if you're thinking about something with great intensity, it's because there's a connection there. There's a connection to that energy saying that something wants to be expressed, something wants to open up. There's purpose in some way. And it doesn't have to be with a specific thing in mind. It's just you have to answer the call or you have to pay attention to where you're led. Okay. So sometimes, like within my work, because I'm a psychic medium, I'm a numerologist, I go, wow, where do I want to like focus on? I've pinpointed enough within my life where it's just like that will always be in my life. So that's not going anywhere. But I go, hey, sometimes I want to focus more on numerology, or sometimes I want to focus on mediumship more. Sometimes I want to focus on psychic more. And I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses. And there are some times where I go, okay, universe, like give me a sign where I need to go this month or this year. Like where do I need to put emphasis? Where does the energy need to open up? Or should I be doing what I'm doing? Just guide me where I need to go. And like at night, a lot of times before I go to sleep, I get like these downloads, like right as I'm drifting off. And so, like for instance, around like last week and the week before, I started getting like some of these numerology downloads where I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm aware of that with that number. I've never really thought about it like that. So all of a sudden, I'm getting these downloads of calculations that I can try and start testing out. And I go, actually, I think that works. Actually, I think that works. And so my brain is speaking to me like in this code of numbers. And that's not normal. Like I have great fascination with numbers, but that's not normal. Or sometimes when I go to bed, my brain starts talking in a way where spirit is just very more present and I'm aware of how they're guiding me. And I go, okay, all right, spirit needs me to pay attention. Or I start to get even the next day, like I'll get flashes of what's going to happen tomorrow. They're not, They're very it's very cool, don't get me wrong. It's very, very cool, and it's, like, very, like, "Wow, this is amazing," but it's so subtle that anyone could miss it. So I just wanna, like, if you've ever had the experience too, don't think like I'm being hit. I am being hit by a bolt of lightning, but I'm being hit by a bolt of lightning so subtly, I go, "Oh, wow, okay, okay." It's almost like a feather just grazing you. Okay, yeah, a feather grazed me, but wow, that's really, really gentle. That's a really small feather, but wow, that's a cool experience. I'm telling you, it's all encapsulated like that. But like I'll, kind of be closing my eyes and drifting off, and then I'll be aware of some things gonna come up, let's say in a reading the next day, or something's gonna be talked about, or something it's strange, like someone's gonna be sitting in a certain place of a room, and I'll just be like a flash, right? And I'll be like, okay, like the psychic energy is opening up a little bit more. That's where my energy is. Or the numerology energy is opening up a little more. The mediumship energy is opening up a little more. And sometimes it won't be like, oh, obvious, but that's the kind of stream that is allowing itself to come to me and saying, hey, you're working here at least this week with energy. You're working here at least this month with this energy, or this year is going to be about that. And I do think that really speaks for itself. Like, find where your mind is, or find where the universe is meeting you at, of where you're being called to. I feel like within readings, this highlights itself even more. So, when I am doing psychic readings, I'm going to be pulled to different places within a person. Yes, it should always be just where you are led, but sometimes your mind is more clear in certain capacities on certain days and months, or you work just differently depending on how you're doing as a human being. That's a very real thing. And so I notice by where I'm at within my own life, if I'm thinking about the past a lot, I will be way more adept with talking about someone's past. I'll just be like in that energy. If I'm more planning for my future and I'm doing like a lot of projects, and going, okay, what do I want to do? What I want to do? It's much more easier for me to read my clients, or the person who's sitting with me for the reading, about their future. If I'm very present, I'm just like, wow, I really need to plan and get this for this week, and I'm hyper focused. I'm more aware of what's going on with the person's currents. It's true. And so there's ways to stretch that and exercise that, so you get like, an equal amount of both if you want to really do it justice. But our minds are so powerful with what they create and they connect to. Absolutely. Or if like my health is really good, right? Or if I'm really on top of my health, I'm more adept with going into someone's energy of their health, right? Like, oh, I'm feeling this within your body. I'm feeling that. Or same with relationship. If relationship is really smooth or difficult within my own life, I'll have immense flexibility, or I'll have immense resistance to wanting to look at that in someone else. Sometimes I'll go like, oh, I just don't want to look there. Or, there are times where, let's say I'm dealing with family members and I go, oh, I have a lot of hurt, I have a lot of hurt at this time. I will less likely to do a reading and look at somebody's family history, because my mind and my heart just is not really enthusiastic to go there. If it comes up, it comes up. I'll never resist it. It's just I'll probably be thinking about 50 other things before the hour is over before that. And that leads into a lot of things. That leads into a lot of things. I know people who don't open up their psychic abilities because they're not comfortable so much with dealing with people and their emotions and empathy on an ongoing basis, like on a humanistic level. Or I know people who have not opened up their mediumship because of family history they've had, and they don't want to look into all the different lineages and genealogy, or track and understand family dynamics, because they're just like, yeah, it just doesn't light me up. And then in turn, some people actually are called there for great amounts of healing. Like, they have to go into psychic work. They have to go into mediumship because it literally is healing what they have gone through. So you're going to find these pushes and pulls and resistances and meanings, or repulsions, of why you're at where you're at. And it is always so mirrored when you do energy work. It's so, so mirrored. Okay. Let me look at some of like the comments, because I just started talking. We're going to go into if anyone's like has some comments about sometimes the topic, and then we're going to go into readings in just a moment. Um, let's see. Courtney. Hi, Courtney. I hope your day is wonderful too. Hey, Shari or Sherry. Just guide me with names. Sherry, I'm going to guess with. Hello. Thank you for enjoying the show. And then hello, Jessica. I'm glad you're looking out your window too. Yeah, it's like that kind of feeling. Hi, Aspen. Grateful for you being here. Thank you so much for your compliments. Thank you. And Andrea. Jennifer says it's hard to be patient sometimes. I just want to know. Oh yeah. Um, that's something that's really important to talk about. Like we just want to know, or why aren't our abilities working? And I really think life works in like a dichotomy kind of way, a complementary kind of way. It's not the only way, right? Life works, but there's something to be said for it. Like life is good, experienced at least as good and bad, or it's experienced with highs and lows, right? And it's like the patience is so sweet when we get like the actual reward, right? So it's like the quickness of, oh, I got it versus the, when is it going to come? When is it going to come? And they all play off each other. They all, to have like sufficient knowing, you have to know the spectrum of the energy that you're dealing with. And so think about that. Life deals a lot in opposites and spectrums and the complementary nature. So if something you want to know if something's coming just on the most fundamental level, you can think, okay, what I'm inquiring about, whether it's for myself or another person, how likely is this? Or how quickly are they going to get a resolution? So it's even just that. And that will stimulate your knowing. Okay. Because you have to know the quality of the energy that you're tuning into to know it, if that makes sense. And so if you start to really come to peace with patience and expectancy, you can actually start to look into that with how you read, with how things are coming to you. And that's the truth of it. That's the truth of it. And that's like a very neutral and pure place of how to be a knower. With this knowing, is this is this a tough one? Is this an easy one? Is this something that's going to be immediate? Is this going to take 10 years? Wow, is this really sad and emotional? Or wow, I feel really good when I think about this or when I talk about this. If you're asking about how this energy feels. So that is very powerful, and it actually appeases the expectancy because actually you're getting a hit on the energy to know very quickly about the quality before you go in deeper of what you're talking about, and you're like, oh yeah, I already have something on it. I already have something on it. It's like this. So that's my advice with that. um hey, thank you, Aspen. Welcome, Moni. Welcome, Moni. Hello. Your excitement reminds me of my daughter. Hey, I try to have excitement. You have to have excitement. I appreciate that. I appreciate the vibes off of the excitement that you're feeling. I really do. Let's see here. Hello, Erin. Hello, Kexile. Kayexile. I like that name. That's really cool. Hello, Tina. Hello, Dearland and Taju. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I appreciate the good vibes. Okay. So sometimes I just scroll and see what we got here before we begin. All right, so let's open up the space and let's go into readings. And I'm going to start picking people with numbers or their questions. Okay, so we're going to get some readings in. I always take a drink of my tea or water, it helps me. There's a fire, there's a creativity burst that comes through when we read, and water or liquid helps balance that for me at least. So okay, let's go from the top. So Tina is first. She popped on her numbers. Okay, let's go into it. First, you're an attitude 8. You are a personal day 8 as well. Yep. And your life path is a 4. Let me just double check that. Yep, that's right. That's right. And then you're in a cycle of 6. Yep, you're in a cycle of 6. Okay. So if you're in a cycle of 6, so we'll talk about what the different numbers mean, and so some people are more curious about that, and some people just want me to talk. So a cycle of 6 is all about where you are for the year. And that 6 number is so heavy based on close friendships and family. You just can't get away from that. And there's a huge connection to emotional health and well being within that. Um, we have to have the support system for us to feel at our healthiest. Like, humans are social beings and we don't have to be seeing people all the time, but there has to be some type of community, whether with family or friends, to make us feel like, okay, I have this support system. So that's really important. And that theme is going to be coming up pretty routinely throughout the year for you to rectify it, tweak it, to improve it. You are an attitude 8. So as an attitude 8, like, you're a very specific person, and like, you are very perceptive of others. You're very perceptive of what you like and what you don't like and what can be improved upon. And with that said, I actually think that as long as you kind of open up the space to allow people to, I guess, showcase their awkwardness and kind of appreciate that, I think you would find a lot of kindred spirits that actually have a similar vibration where they have these high standards, they have these high specifics. I actually think there's more people than you realize around you who actually appreciate like certain finesse and quality. It's almost like it's either an exact as I say this or a metaphor, like appreciation for good food, like literature, appreciation for, the finer things in life, even if they're not expected. It's not just what's on the surface. Um, and sometimes when we meet people, we're like, they're cool, but then they're kind of odd in that category, or they're cool, but they're not really like up to date within their life in another category. And that should be observed, absolutely. But it's funny because human beings are kind of like extraordinary in some areas and like deficient in other areas. And I know so many amazing people who are just like, they're super high achievers, but they're scattered in other places. So if you would see them in different capacities, you'd kind of go like, whoa, I didn't see you to be like that. Right. So opening up the lens when which you see people, and opening up the lens to actually allow you to understand people on a deeper level, because I actually think you could uncover more wins, but you could also uncover more things that you never got into with others, where you're like, oh, with the people that I do know, I didn't notice that about them before. I'm not so much a great fan of that. So it'll bode well for you, but it'll also bode well for you understanding what you don't like with the people that you already know, because you're opening up the way that you discuss and interact. And the number one theme that's coming up as I'm talking is vulnerability. Like, vulnerability this year is really, really important, emotional vulnerability, and it's going to give you some of the answers that you're going to find in the things that I'm talking about with establishing new friendships and like really getting down to the bottom of current existing ones in family contexts too. Okay. So you're a life path 4. It's very important to be stimulated with learning to keep you feeling like there's excitement in your life. 4 is the life path archetype of the student and the teacher. So you have to be consuming energy to then share with others. You have to be a student and then turn, you know, sharing your voice in some way, or sharing your mind, where you're like, hey, I just read this. Hey, I just read that. And it just really keeps your energy going. It keeps your mind fresh. It keeps you perky. That's actually very, very important for your energy to always have that kind of dynamic in little ways amongst whatever you're doing. And then the last thing I'll say is you have a personal day at 8. So it's very important. I talked about those things earlier about like opening yourself up and inviting in awkwardness and inviting in just like kind of asking and looking at people differently to really showcase who they really are on in good and bad ways. It's important for you to actually do one step forward within this because as a personal day at 8, you come in with a very sturdy, powerful energy. And a lot of eights don't know this about themselves because eights have like they have a huge presence when they walk into the room, but it's a presence where people go, "Oh," and then they kind of might not necessarily talk about it. They might not necessarily say anything about it in a way where you would know, but people are going to notice you and you come with like a leadership and a power. And so actually what you say has great influence and what you say can change the tides and people will be like, I should pay attention to that. Do I want to pay attention to that? But I should. Seems like there's something important within that because there's so much physical energy and manifestation energy that comes forward from 8 energy. So you can actually really set the pace for an entire room. You can set the pace for an entire, honestly, just impression when you meet somebody with that energy. I hope that makes sense to you, but really you have more power than you think you do in a lot of different categories. And that's a huge thing within your life. Thing and theme within your life. Okay. So I'm going to give that to you. And you're going down to the bottom. Life is what we make it. So even a bad day, speak positive. It's getting better. Nah, it sucks. Life is what we make it. Absolutely. And to acknowledge both sides, to acknowledge like, hey, it's a bad day, but I can make it better. But to acknowledge like, hey, there's utility in this bad day because it then helps me turn around it to be positive. And maybe if I didn't have this perspective, I couldn't have the immense positivity that I'm leading into. So, I would say that's the number one thing with the 8 energy. The 8 energy picks up so much and has the power to change so much. And it's just like make sure you're just being truthful to yourself at every level as you're changing the vibration. So it's not like you're not masking it or overlooking it and saying, hey, the bad doesn't matter. It's like, no, anything weird that you get, the 8 energy has the ability to extract truth from it. Like, great, I actually want to look at that to make sure it doesn't happen again. I actually want to be acquainted with the bad stuff so I know exactly what's going on. So I can circumvent that. It's like a treasure chest, some of the bad stuff of like a roadmap, pamphlet of what to just soar above. Just want to give that to you. Okay. All right. Let's see the next. We're going into readings. Okay, Andrea. Andrea. Okay, Andrea, let me see. I'm going to scroll if you asked anything further down. Okay. Absolutely, Tina. Absolutely. Okay. So I'm going to pull some cards for you, Andrea. Oh, you did. You put down your birthday too. Okay. This is why I scroll. This is why I look. Okay, cool. Cool. So Andrea, you are an attitude 4. You are a personal day 2. You are a life path 2 as well. That's right. And then you are a cycle 2 as well. Wow. You got a lot of 2 energy going on. Okay. So the number one thing that just comes off the bat is you have a lot of balancing numbers and you're dealing with a lot of balancer energy this year. When I say that, that means you're not meant to do a bunch of things at once. You're meant to do a bunch of things like systematically, like one thing a day, two things a day, three things a day, cool. If you overwhelm yourself, you will combust. Okay? It's very important for your energy to know that if you overwhelm yourself, you will combust, because this energy that you are born into is all about being gentle with yourself. It's all about, oh, I'm aware of all these things and they will get done. And if I just kind of am patient and breathe and take care of myself, I'm going to spend a little bit more time with this to make sure the quality holds, to make sure that the missing pieces, are in place. So again, I'm circumventing this and that. That takes time to observe. That takes a moment to comprehend. And actually, you will go faster than other people. It's just not immediately. So, like, that's the whole thing. It's just like breathe, take care of yourself, slow down. It's very important because you're a life path two. And when someone's a life path two, they need to have immense foundation for them to go fast. And when they go fast, they can go just top speeds. They can go top speeds and do things that people go, wow, how'd you do that? But they need all this foundational work of really good habits with sleep, really good habits with clean food, really good habits with, making sure that you are having enough alone time so the people that are around you are influencing your personal goals and your personal responsibilities. Because the life path of two, and the reason why you have to have this really strong foundation, is you will always be pulled with others. You will always be pulled to a feeling of, where did that come from? You will always be pulled to a situation where you go, oh, can I help? You will always be actually thinking a thought that isn't yours, because the energy of two, and you have it amplified with some of the things that you have going on this year and in your chart, is about learning how to be part of an energy, a greater energy than yourself, and always understanding that you are not alone. Always understanding that you are so much greater than just yourself. And you do that in ways where your life just goes that way. Like, it's not even a thought thing, it's a feeling thing and an experience thing. You're just so pulled, and so it takes a lot of cleansing, it takes a lot of calming to really get your compass strong and to really feel like yourself. Even a lot of people with these numbers, they're not going to feel like themselves. They're going to feel a little off unless they take care of themselves. And even when they do take care of themselves, they're aware. They're like, feels a little wonky, feels a little wonky, but I'm aware of that. Okay. The difference is you have the awareness then. So you have an attitude 4. So in this placement, it's very important that you are like really on top of your goals, and you would be naturally. But this is all about planning, like, breeds happiness, organization breeds success, and like hard work like makes you feel alive. So your attitude number is like kind of how you like view things, see things, communicate. And that 4 number means you always have to be like moving your mind in some capacity, where you are working really hard at work, or you're helping somebody out from, going through this detail and that detail, and you're producing like production, and you're feeling like, yes, I'm stimulated, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, like I feel like my life is going forward. So you need, actually, work is very, very important for you to feel like you are fulfilled. It's very, very important that you're in a job that you actually have passion for and belief in, because naturally you're just such a hard worker that if you are burning the midnight oil, or the candle from both ends, you're going to be miserable because you're naturally always doing something that's you're just always at something. So the thing that I give back to you is, if you're going to be always doing something and being something in what you're creating within your life, really get a hold of your wellness, really get a hold of your health, because that is the key to your success. And if you can always have an aspect of like, hey, I'm doing this for my health this week, like, I'm going on a hike, or I'm going to this restaurant that has cleaner food, right? If like you're always just putting that into the lists of things that you have to check box to have an amazing week, and it's always like a consideration of health to that gorgeous list, you're just going to win. You're just going to win more, okay? Because your body is so sensitive that you need that extra support. Okay? I'm gonna say one more thing, but I hope this makes sense. Yeah, okay, Andrea, you understand this. So yeah, the LOL. Like as I'm saying this, like this is real. Like it's not just like, oh yeah, like let me just talk about stuff. No, this you know it, you feel it. Like two energy is weird like that. You feel it. You know what I'm talking about. So you're in a cycle of two. So I want to give you like a celebration within that, because when you have this many twos and you're in a cycle of two, this year is supposed to be really good. This year is supposed to be really good. It will give you validations. It will give you surges of energy where you're like, I feel like I'm on my path. Like I feel like I'm finding the right kind of people. I'm feeling like I'm getting into situations that are healing and healthy for me, where I can feel like, I feel like myself, and I feel like empowered this year. So continue to lean into things like that, and this year will open up that more easily. And just really, that's the number one thing I'm going to say to you this year. Make moves and say yes to things that you know are positive but would freak you out normally, because you have a lot of luck this year. You have a lot of luck this year, and when your cycle matches up with your life path, it's basically like fortune is in your favor for you to activate your life path. So things just go well, as long as you have to feel like this is a positive thing. Like you can't just be like, this is a negative thing, but this is going to make me a lot of money, or like this really stresses me out, but it would be such a good thing if I got it, because it would make me seem like this or that. It can't be superficial. It has to be within your soul. Yeah, it has to be a soul aligned things, and you will get more money. You will meet people. Like again, it's like a relationship thing, friendship. It's just like validations open of, yes, you're supposed to be here, you were rewarded, yes, this is the best you've ever felt, or some of the deepest connections you have ever created with individuals. Yeah, you're supposed to be here. Okay. So, yes, the inheritance will help you, but this is all about soul activation. So, if you are getting an inheritance, cool. It's just an indication of things getting more easier. But what you do with that inheritance next, you have more freedom, you have no more power. So, do something that's good for your soul that would normally scare you, but it's the best thing you can think about for what makes you you, and to be in your power and being like, I'm alive, because it's going to go well. Okay. So that's what I'm getting to you. Yep. Okay. Right. And the inheritance will help with that. It will help with the flexibility to do what you're talking about. So balance, restore, all those things that I mentioned, really put time and attention and money in the health and wellness, and then start doing all the other stuff. And you're going to feel powerful and alive. And this is going to be a great year. Okay. So I'm giving that to you. All right. So who is next? Who is next? Let's see here. There's a lot of comments. I appreciate all the comments. I love the comments. I'm like, look, I have to look for people who consent to read. So it's like, if you're commenting, I love it, but you have to consent to me. Say, I want a reading. I'm scrolling down. There's a lot of comments. Okay, here we go. Tanju Oha. I hope I'm saying your name right. Tanuj Oha. Okay. Doing your numbers. Right. So you're in attitude 6. You're in personal day 2. And you are a life path 8. Yep, that's right. And you are in a cycle of 4. Okay. So Tanuj, this is an important year with you being in a cycle 4 to really put yourself out there in a capacity to learn. All right. So take classes, invest within yourself, learn new skills. You will feel naturally drawn to, I want to learn something more. Like I have a pocket of time to actually do that. Life slows down in a way where you actually have more time and space to do that. A cycle 4 is made to be slower. Okay. A lot of people get frustrated during this time and they go, okay, I'm working. Why am I not getting results? Why am I not getting the fruit of my labor? And the 4 is all about like, hey, you will and you can, but you are strengthening what's coming to you. Okay. You are creating the foundations because 4 is like a square. It's foundational. You're creating the foundations so you can consistently reap what you're working on. It's not going to be a fluke anymore. It's not going to be luck anymore. It's not going to be like, oh, okay, I'm so happy that this came to me. It's like, no, like I'm making this money and I'm awesome at what I do because of A, B, and C, because I've worked hard. So what happens is like 4 is like cocooning time sometimes. It's like getting stronger, crystallizing skills. Okay. So that's what's going on. You will have more whoa, this is happening and that is happening in full speed energy next year if you're wondering when things pick up, if things are a little slow. So I'm just giving that to you. This year is made actually to transition. So it's really great to get into the energy of like, do I really want to live where live? Do I really want to do the job that I do? And whatever the answer to that is, there has to be some type of new skill and learning that's applied. Okay. Because this is when you pivot within your life to do something in a different way on different terms. Okay. So, very, very important year. When people have these placements, it's a lot of very positive change. It's not like they don't know what they want to do, it's just they get deeper into it and they tweak it. So, it's a year of tweaking, and you have to be absorbing new energy and being around new people to help activate that. Okay. So, there's that. You're a personal day 2. So when someone has a personal day 2 energy, no matter if it comes off in other places or not in their chart, that first initial hit when someone meets you is you have like this gentle energy. Now you have an 8 and a 6, and those are powerhouse numbers, and those are not gentle numbers. But the initial 2, you will actually come into situations with people, whether in relationships or whether in work, where people will underestimate you initially because they feel your feminine energy. Even if you come walking into the room booming, they will feel that softness and sensitivity on first hit. Now it changes the more they know you. Okay. So I say this in a way of, really assert yourself around people, really like present your ideas, come in with confidence, like just be very articulate of who you are, and that will circumvent people second guessing you in the beginning stages. Okay. And to really see what your true energy is, that's very important, because that 6 energy is very take charge energy. I take care of others. I work hard. I'm a very generous person. Like, you're not this damsel in distress. No, you're not. And your life path 8 is you're made to be in a place within your life where you are in leadership roles, whether it's management, on being an um entrepreneur. You have to be in some type of leadership, okay, where you are doing the talking, not being talked at. So your first initial energy showcase is a little bit opposite than that. Okay. So from the gate, shine your light, show your confidence, be more outspoken, and you'll get things faster, and you'll attract people faster to actually who you are vibing and who you do want to have time with, what situations you'd actually like to have instead without some of those misunderstandings. So I'm going to give that to you, Tanuj, and hopefully that makes sense. I believe it does. Let's see here. All right. Someone's asking a question. Oh, I just dropped a pen. Isn't that great? Um, Dionysius. That's a great name. I love that name. Dionysius is asking, do you see a coworker being removed from the office? Okay, let's go into the cards and some feelings. All right, I'm gonna see if there's any. Okay. Hmm. 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 Interesting. Hmm. Okay. Um, I'm gonna say, as I'm seeing these cards, the answer is yes. I do see. Hmm. Okay, this could come up two ways as I'm saying this. It's either you're going to be removed from the office or this person's going to be moved from the office because I'm getting cards where something is tearing away, and I'm getting the cards of actually like progression and positive energy within your career. So this is linked to you of there is going to be tearing away energy, but it's for the better and career opens up. Now it's going to cause you to feel whether this person, I'm going to put it in two ways because this is what's coming really strong on the cards and maybe we can get more emphasis on it, but hmm, I'm going to say it like this. Okay. With ever what happens in career, it's going to cause you to second guess yourself. It's going to cause you to kind of like your faith is going to be hit a little bit where you're like I don't feel like this is the best way I'm going about things. But actually, it's very positive and it's very progressive to how things will help you within your career. It's a good move. Like the cards around the situation are the time game and being overwhelmed and drowning. So it showcases to me that the environment and it, you mentioned your coworker, but the environment in general, if not just your coworker, is really not conducive like for your happiness. And it's actually, I think, would be better if it is change in environment. Now, if that change in environment just deals with one person leaving, the cards are showing that someone is leaving, okay? And things will get the better for that. It's absolutely showing that. It's just a matter of you might feel like, again, if you leave, your faith is hit. If they leave, you're going to feel like, did that really cure the problem? There's still a problem going on. So there is something that needs to be rectified with belief within self. There's something that needs to be rectified within um if you feel really connected to your purpose, because the environment's not great and there's emphasis on trying to fix and change the circumstances around the people, and really there is something deeper. It's like we have to like really go into where's your happiness with what you're doing every day, and are you really in a good place? And being in a good place, people around you would supersede one bad seed. That's what I'm saying. So there has to be a change of energy, and right now it's not going to happen quick. Okay, so again, got that time game card, and when we have that time game card, it's like there's a process that needs to happen. So it's not supposed to happen. I don't like it snap of the fingers. It's like you have to wait because certain lessons have to carry out. And that's why that situation is present. Okay. So regardless of the situation, someone's leaving. Okay. Someone's leaving. And I really think that the more that you tune into what you really want and to have it despite annoying, like overbearing people who are just trying to take charge of everything, and you're just taking charge of what you can change, whether it's in a different environment or just a different aspect of what you can do at that job momentarily, I actually think it's going to open up so much energy. I'm going to say this to give you confidence. Like you have really good energy within your career where you're going to make more money. Things are going to be more easier. Things are going to flourish. I just like keep seeing this ladder, like just going up, shooting up. and opportunities opening up, but it feels like, where am I going? What am I doing? So it doesn't feel quite like that. But actually, you have a lot of good energy in career. Just have the faith and really do work to get in touch with that. And once you're in touch with that and you activate that, oof, it's going to be awesome. Oof, things are going to come quite easy and things are going to make sense. But right now, since they don't, you're wondering, like, well, this is awful. And actually, things are about to get a lot better. It's just, again, there's a little bit of time on it. And maybe you want to leave before this other person leaves because you got to get into something a little bit deeper than the current work environment. Like, you got to get into something a little bit more purposeful than the current work environment. And that shouldn't be distracting you. That's what comes up. Okay. If that makes sense. I don't know if you're still here. I'm pulling just dates and questions of people that I see. And if they're still here, they're still here. All right. Let's see. All right. Who's next? Who is next? I'm going to do Priyanshi. Okay. And I'm going to have a new pen apparently because I just dropped my old one. Priyanshi. September 23rd, 1999. And thank you to everybody. Like, I should reiterate who some of these things are for, so I'll be saying names more often. Okay. So we got Priyanshi, and she is an attitude 5, and she is a personal day 5, and she is a life path 6, I believe. Yep. She's life path 6, and she is in a cycle of 3. Okay. Oh yeah, I like this. Again, our numerology chart is made up of our name and our birthday, and so yeah, there's so much we can get out of this when we really go deep. But from what I'm seeing with your birth date numbers and your cycle, actually, this is a great year for you. You have a lot of really good open energy. It's an exciting energy. It's not going to be dull, that's for sure. This year is meant to have a nice time. This year is meant to kind of restore some of that faith with, like, life is fun, life is good, meeting people, getting to know people, having some kindred connections. It showcases itself in friendships and relationships, feeling like you're having kindred connections again. And so naturally, okay, you're a personal day 5 and an attitude 5. So when someone's a personal day 5, they attract all different types of people to them. Okay. So they attract gorgeous people who are kind, but also crazy people who are all over the place. All right. I just hit my lamp because it's crazy energy. So you will always throughout your life attract vast amounts of personalities in situations. 5's a very dramatic number. You never know what you're going to get. Okay. And then you have an attitude 5. So you're very spontaneous naturally too. You're like, let's go do this. Why not? Why not? Why not? Right? Why not? And so within your life, it's very important for you to be hands-on and with people. Your life path 6. So your life is about bringing people together and, providing for others with your heart, with your sense of hard work, with your sense of, your skill of what you can do for others, and making feel others more at ease, and making people feel like, oh, thank you for being here. So you're supposed to be very maternal in your life. You're supposed to be very protective within the way that you love and you look over people. People naturally will feel that, and that is a role that you'll naturally want to be in. Okay. So gravitate towards roles where you have the ability to be the right hand person of somebody, or that you can be in a position where you can take care of others actively, where people feel very nourished, and you're, whether it's caretaking or whether it's, I'm a boss, able to make things go efficiently and for people to feel like I actually care. There has to be that role within your life, within career. Okay. And family is very, very important to you. But no matter what, have something be hands-on, have something to be not where you're isolated within your job. You have to be around people, and you have to not be in a desk all day. No, 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 no. You can't be behind a desk. You can't be behind a desk. It has to be more unconventional. And your life very much is meant to change different careers and experience different skills. Okay. It will keep you interested. It will keep you engaged. It will keep you not bored. And this cycle is very good to make sure that you have enthusiasm and you don't have that boredom element in your life, because sometimes you're just like, right? You have that. It's like you sometimes you can't shake the fact that things just don't enthuse you the same way. Okay. I'm gonna give that to you. Let me see if you're seeing who's here. Are you here? Okay. Priyanshi, if you're here, you can play it on the playback. But ultimately, what I want to say is continue to go forward and continue to travel and allow life to show you where it needs to take you. Because when you have a bunch of five energy, you're not supposed to be a planner. Like, if anyone ever puts pressure on you to be a planner, if anyone ever puts pressure on you to like figure out your next move, like, your life is definitely supposed to be a little bit more spontaneous than the average person, because life just kind of comes to you rather than you trying to figure out it. Okay. So I'm going to give that to you, Priyanshi. And with that said, I'm going to pull one last card for a person. And right, Courtney, I'm going to pull a card for you. You're welcome, Priyanshi. Hopefully that resonated too. Okay, this is for Courtney. Apparently, I need to pull that. Let's see what else pops up. Okay, cool. Okay. So I got the mass. Oh, you have a question. Just the question, but do you do reading for kids, the numerology? Oh, yeah. Someone asked about kids and numerology. Yeah, like, you can do readings for kids. Absolutely. There has to be parental consent because they're a minor. Um, and you can absolutely look into, in a psychic or mediumship reading, you can look into the soul of a child. It doesn't matter what the age is. Now, they're not going to understand the reading, and you have to treat them in a completely different way and honor them and make them feel comfortable. And readings are more so for adults, but you can understand the chart of a child. You can understand the energy of a child. Absolutely. And when you read their soul, they feel like an adult. They feel like an eternal being that just signed up for a certain personality trait, situations, and a bunch of events that makes them further themselves and who they are on their soul journey. They feel like an adult. Honestly, their soul does, but they could be only 2 years old. Yep. You can read the energy of a 2-year-old. Now, the 2-year-old doesn't come in for a reading, but the 2-year-old's energy will come in through the mother. Oh, I'm aware that you have a son, and actually your son feels like this, and as he grows up, he actually feels like this. You can see that he already has tendencies because his personality is like this now with how he interacts with his siblings or his peers in preschool. There'll be validations, but it'll actually showcase what his energy is supposed to be, for instance. But with like numerology, yeah, as soon as someone's born, they have a chart. Now, if they grow up and they change their name, their chart can change, but they have very certain influential energies that they'll always have based on their birthday. And same with astrology, right? You can do readings for, like, if you have a baby due now, like, there's always surprise births, so it's hard to pinpoint, right? Times, and you can't really do that. But once you give birth to your child, you can do a numerology chart on your child or an astrology chart on your child, and it would let you know like a lot of the archetypes of your child. Absolutely. There's people who focus in that. Yeah. Um okay. Cool. Let's do a card. Okay. Yeah, and if he's an old soul, then great. I love old soul children. You can really work with them. So just in certain but they're still children, but in certain capacities, like, you can work with them in a way that it's just at ease and they're open to so much change and progression, and that they can then turn that on to rippling that through the kids that they're around at school, and it's just good stuff. Okay. Okay. So for Courtney, what I pulled for you is the Mastering Your Own Fate card. Times are changing, and apparently the Spiritual Force card wanted to jump out. So this is about trusting yourself. You need to trust yourself more. You need to trust yourself more, and you need to have like faith. That's the trust. And then also the diligence. So I feel like you've put goals of some things that you want to work on, but those goals kind of have been like falling through because, focus is off and life, gets stressful. That's understandable. But they're just saying, hey, like you can have all these things that you put goals to. You just have to have the focus and the faith, and you have to just continue to go and meet it. You have to, it's like, it's time to just buck up. When you just continue to buck up and ask for help, ask for support, ask for spirit to guide you, ask for God to oversee everything that you're doing, whatever your belief system is. But you can master your own fate. It's a little bit difficult. You're going to have that tenacity to see you through. So if you're ever like, I don't have what I want this, they're saying, hey, you can have it. It's time to get a little bit messy. And it's actually going to work out really well. But this is a validation to remind you of that. It's wise. Why can you have it? Because times are changing. You have a card open up indicating that your rules are different. Your constrictions that applied to you last year, 3 years ago, they're really talking about 3 years ago for some reason. Whatever happened 3 years ago and in the past, it doesn't apply anymore. It's a completely mute issue. Like, yes, there's things that ripple into our current that, echo from the past. I get that, but it doesn't apply anymore. Okay. Well, yeah, you have to get a little messy. The universe is messy. The universe is messy. It's very orderly and it's very messy, you could argue. And since it exists with both aspects, you have to embrace both aspects. But ultimately, you don't like messy, but times are changing, so you'd embrace far more than maybe you'd once expect. So I want to give that to you. You're like, oh. So hopefully that's an invitation again to start up what you were working on prior and knowing that it's different. And that 3 hit hard. Good. I'm glad you understand it. Yeah, it's real. So, spirit guides are saying, come on, we got you. We got you. It might be messy, but it's going to be way easier than you expect if you just have faith. That's the message. Okay. With that said, everybody, I keep staring at this shell. So it reminds me of water and healing energy. I hope with whatever you have coming up within your week, it's just cleansing. You go a little bit more easy on yourself, and that you're reminded that life is going at a pace for you to learn exactly what you need to know, and just continue to ask for help, because at every turn that there is within life, there's an opportunity to see an oasis. Spirit is that oasis. All you have to do is close your eyes and be transported. All you have to do is open up your heart and feel it. It's a vibration that is real. It's not just imagination. So look for that oasis amongst the desert if you're feeling quite parched with the energy of late. I'm going to send all my love. Please, I will see you next week. We have Luann Beecher on the show with our guest interview on Friday. She's an amazing medium. And then also, I will see you for readings next week too. So with that said, please go with love, laughter, luck, and light. And don't forget to live, everybody. Thank you so much for being with me, and see you soon. Bye.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.